everyone. I'm Maritza Barone and welcome to my podcast, Things You Can't Unhear. As a presenter with a focus on wellness, I have interviewed very many health professionals in my time and heard stories that have opened my eyes about the world we live in today. But I found the best bits that I take home with me and the things I heard that have changed my life are usually when the recording shuts off and we can talk in length behind the scenes. And that's the information that I want to share with you on this podcast. Here we have a special guest whose voice alone just seems to calm me. We've got Lisa Bryant, a presenter of a daily podcast titled Self, which aims to raise the quality of our consciousness. In addition to being a yoga teacher, certified fitness coach, and a professional dancer, she has a driving passion to encourage others to turn their attention inwards, learning to love oneself in order to create a loving ripple effect in the world. How lovely is that? Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Maritza. How are you going?
Ah, see, there's that voice.
Yes.
I've been waking up to you for the last 80 plus days since you launched your podcast Self, and you've hooked me in and given me a new way to start my day with positivity. How do you describe the podcast?
Well, first of all, that's so lovely. Like that is such great commitment from yourself. And I would describe it was born out of the fact of myself really engaging in a consistent morning ritual, like morning routine.
Right.
And I have been building this podcast probably for the last 5 years, but I didn't really have clarity around I knew what I wanted to talk about, but what that looked like in terms of, how long, did I have guests, all the rest of that. And so for me, it was waking up in the morning and wanting to hear and connect with someone that, could kind of like give me a boost into my day. Not long, not an hour podcast, and just kind of chilled. And so that's when I created this podcast, which is essentially 10 minutes every single morning for you to wake up to and kickstart your day with intention and positivity.
As a fellow podcaster, I know what it means to create an episode every single day, and that's a massive commitment. But because they're short, I can actually commit to listening to them, as can everyone else. And like I said, I start my day in such a positive vibe because of them. And you've got a beautiful sense about you. And I do honour everyone to try and get onto it and try it out themselves. But Tell us about your spiritual journey and what got you to where you are today and in order to create this podcast.
Well, I have a professional dance background. So that was always quite intense, a lot of focus on how you need to be, how you need to look a certain way, and always different for each job. It was just so exhausting, and a lot of like outside noise, just a lot of hype essentially. And I actually started a job at Lululemon in Bondi when I moved back to Australia from overseas, and that saw me connected with the yoga world and all of the yoga people. It was really like I couldn't have asked for a better role at that point in my life. I took on a community role, and just that saw me connect with a lot of different yoga teachers. And so yoga was brought into my life, which worked really well for me because, at that point I was so busy in my mind. I think if I went and sat down in just a dead straight silent meditation class, I really would have struggled. So yoga was like the perfect chance for me to really connect breath to movement and to keep moving. And essentially I'm just kind of like, it is addictive, isn't it? Like, just that opportunity to learn more about yourself. And I've just become more increasingly passionate about it the older that I've got and the more that I've seen how much I can co-create just from learning about myself.
Oh, it's endless. It really is.
It is, yeah.
Just scrolling through the podcast topics, there's so many that I would love to delve into with you today, like literally a long, long list that I've written down right here in front of me. Yeah. So it could be a very long episode, but today I'm going to select two specific subjects that I really want to jump deeper into. And the first one is being the art of manifesting and why we do it. And the other is being, of course, what your podcast is about, is morning rituals. The way we start our morning really does set us up for the rest of the day. And in your opinion, what do you guide people to do when they rise in the morning? And what impact do you believe it has on their day and their lives?
I believe you start the morning, it's the most amazing and fascinating thing is when you're asleep, you kind of go into this sense of living, well, unconsciously from your subconscious. So that moment when you wake up is the closest you're ever going to have in chasing your subconscious without, going into deep levels of meditation. So it's really important to keep that space sacred. So for the first hour, I'm really intentional every morning. And it took me about 20, 30 days to really get me in the habit, but now I can't live without it. So it's like, waking up in the morning, making your bed, making sure you have, if you want a cup of coffee, to really enjoy that moment of having a cup of coffee instead of doing 100 million things all at once. I love coffee. So it's like, sitting down and either journaling while you're having a cuppa, making time for breakfast, but really making that first hour of your day for you. And in saying that, it's really important, I think, to create the intention of a morning ritual, but to take that throughout the day. So you can't just be spiritual in the morning and then kind of go, great, I want to better myself, shut my journal, go out the door and just be like, all right, great, back on with my day, like whatever. You've kind of, it sets you up with the habit of checking back in with yourself regularly throughout your day. And I think that's what I love most about it. It's incredibly powerful.
What I've learned from you is expressing gratitude first thing in the morning. And what I do is I lie in bed before I even get up or even open my eyes. I'll say about 5 things that I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my health and my children and the warm bed that I get to sleep in and my family and all of those things. And this morning I had my girls jump into bed with me before I had the chance to even wake up. And I've got a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I thought, well, I'm not going to miss out on saying my gratefulness routine. I'm going to get them involved. And I did. So I said to them, we're going to list a few things that we're grateful for before we get up out of bed this morning. And I went ahead and did it. And then it was Zara's turn and then it was Isabel's turn. And they really enjoyed it. And I got that from you. And it's such a beautiful way to start the day. And it's just so simple.
That's so cute. I love that.
That's something that I got from you. So thank you. This is what people are getting from you.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Like, honestly, I cannot wait to have kids with my partner. Like, and I talk about it all the time, the language that you use for kids, they're like little sponges. So, it's just changing that. Oh, come on, like, get up, we've got to go, let's do it. For taking that literally 10, 20 seconds to go, what are you grateful for this morning? Or like, did you dream last night? What did you dream about? You know what I mean? Like, just to have those conscious conversations with kids, I think is so incredibly important. They're the leaders of our future. Do you know what I mean? And they're the most intelligent. So that is so beautiful. I'm all about that. I'm loving it.
Fantastic. Now, also, we have a habit of jumping on our phones first thing in the morning, and that can be quite detrimental to our day too. Do you suggest that we don't go anywhere near the phones?
Yeah, absolutely. And it is just, as I said, a habit. You've just got to make the conscious choice, just like you get up every morning and go to the gym. You've got, it's this thing, it's attached to us 24/7. You've got to be conscious of not ever being on your phone, as I said, at least for an hour, because you're living out of your subconscious still. So instead of being on your phone and then picking up all of these things, you already feel anxious. And I feel like that's why anxiety is such a huge thing in our world, because the further we increase with technology, the faster we all get. So it's really important to just slow down, switch out your phone for just a bit of paper, write down 5 things that you're grateful for, set your intention for the day. It really is just absolutely life-changing.
I feel like we are starting to see a massive shift and progression in humankind, and that excites me because I feel like people are jumping more on board with this type of stuff and leaning to a more positive life. Do you tend to agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's becoming, I actually was talking about this in one of my episodes recently, people that were diving into self and, even angels and crystals and oils and all of those amazing things. Back in the day, they were just kind of like crazy people with like that lived out in the woods. And now it's so essential, I watched an interview the other day with Cameron Diaz, and I just love her. She's such a goddess, but she was talking about transcendental meditation and just she was talking about morning routine. And I just think, so many people are needing this as an essential part of being a business owner, of being someone that is on a platform that people are looking at constantly. I think it's just incredible that this kind of like shallow kind of like way of living is really being outgrown, and it's being pushed from people that have influence in the world. It's just amazing to see.
So what's your morning routine? Can you talk us through that quickly?
Yeah, my morning routine is I wake up, and not too dissimilar to yourself, I will always say something that I'm grateful for. And that, for me, immediately takes you from thinking about your day to being in the moment. It forces you to be completely present. And then I wake up and I open with a prayer, and my prayer is to my angels, so my Archangel Michael, my guardian angels, and that's something of which I really identify with. However, something that I don't often talk about in my podcast, because that's a personal reflection of me, and I identify that not everybody is like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I always connect with them, and then I will pull a card. It's from my Oracle deck, and it kind of just gives me a invocation, essentially. And then I will do probably around 2 or 3 pages of journaling. Wake up, make my bed, get up out of bed. So that's all in bed, which is great. Make my bed,
coffee.
and then on my way, yeah, that's right. And then I'll have my coffee. It's almost like it's like the perfect way to finish it all off. So, but I have actually moved recently from Melbourne. I now live up on the mid-north coast in New South Wales. So my routine actually has shifted quite a bit because it's so sunny up here. I do want to get outside a little bit earlier. So I might often actually start with waking up and just walking around. I live on a big farm property here, just waking up and going for a really intentional walk around the property. And again, on another episode that I was talking about active meditation, it's bringing in those properties of focusing on your breath but moving your body at the same time. And for me, that's proving so well. So it's working so well for me. So I think morning routine, people have this concept or this misconception that you need to be super disciplined. And whilst there is definitely an element for that, you should really enjoy it and not feel like it's an added chore that you're doing. So you just got to kind of do what works for you,
And even setting your alarm, 20 minutes or 30 minutes earlier than you need to wake up, and doing that then. It's not strenuous work, right? You're lying there and you're just using your mind to create positivity in your day.
That's right, and people say I don't have time, and it's well, make it.
Sleep 20 minutes less, you'll be right.
That's it. And especially I think if you have kids, especially if they're younger or you've got a whole bunch of kids and they're loose, it is good to wake up and really set yourself up for the day instead of waking up to your 6 kids screaming at you. You've got to be, you're their rock, right? So you have to make sure that you're set up for them for the rest of the day.
That was definitely my bad habit when mine were quite young. I'd wait for them to start crying and then I'd get up. And that was the basis of my day. I'd be manic for the rest of the day.
Well, I mean, I haven't had kids yet, so I'm not quite there. I think I should come and talk back to you. That'll humble me a little, but I definitely have the intention going into that, that it's so important to make the day first and foremost about you, so then you can be a pillar of happiness and light for the people in your life.
And you've got the intention there, so that means you're more than halfway there.
We'll see.
Now, see, it's been said many times that thought is creative. So what we think over and over begins to manifest into the reality and physicality of our lives. So I want to get into the power of manifesting with you and how you use it to create desired experiences.
Yep, great. I love manifesting. It's so interesting, isn't it? And so many people have different perspectives on it, which is just amazing because there isn't any correct kind of answer, because it's one of those life mysteries. So it's really whatever you kind of identify with, not too dissimilar from your belief system. So for me personally, I believe that, our brain runs on autopilot. It thinks thoughts, we all think thoughts. It's oh, what? That's crazy. Don't think that. You know what I mean? But that's never going to get rid of anything. Our brain is always, it's just doing its job. So it's whatever we hold attachment to, I believe, is what we manifest. And I believe the attachment portion of it is then it's what you focus on. So in saying that as well, I really live by the saying, what you resist persists. So even things that are niggling, like a niggling thought, you're actually manifesting it more and more and more if you ignore it. You've kind of got to, it's like the sense of looking at yourself in the mirror all the time and going and getting clear, really. There's a lot to do with clarity and just going, this is what I want and this is what I don't want. And it's actually a sense of releasing and surrendering opposed to chasing or going, I will manifest this. It's more this is what I want to bring into my life, and now I'm going to let that go and let that happen and let that flow. So it's actually counterintuitive, if that makes sense. You're kind of aligning your consciousness with your subconsciousness. And in saying that, that is why it's so damn important to heal, because so much is residue in our subconscious of things that have happened in our childhood, of relationships, friendships that we've been in. And if we don't heal those factors, then it becomes to play in manifesting in our consciousness, if that makes sense.
It sort of freaks me out a bit when I think negatively because, like you said earlier, you sometimes can't stop yourself from thinking negative thoughts. And although you try, it still sort of it filters into your mind. And I panic sometimes because I think that I might be manifesting that if that pops into my mind. What's a tip on how to remove that?
Totally. And you're not crazy. Like I don't think we're all human beings. You know what I mean? Like I'm the same. I do the same thing. And the analogy that I use is that imagine that you're at a desk and you're doing admin. So this is, I imagine like, you know, a person in my brain doing this, and a ball of light comes, you know, it's kind of floating like on a, what would you call that? Like a trolley, like it's just coming, what's that called? When it's just like in a factory?
Oh, yeah. Like a trolley.
Like a train, trolley thing. And it's just kind of coming through, and you're picking up each ball of light and you're inspecting it. And that's how I think about my thoughts. So anything that I really want to manifest, I'll pick it up and I'll set it with a good intention, and then I'll let it go. And then I'll pick up the next one, set it with a good intention, and let it go. If anything is too hectic or feels gross or is negative, I've still got the thought in my hand. Do you know what I mean? So like I have to do something with it. I breathe calm and light into it, and then I let it go. So It's, again, what I was talking about, not holding it with intention and letting go that sense of attachment, just going, that was a crazy thought, Lee. Wow, great, thought it, not going to happen. Let's get back to reality and move on. You know what I mean? So it's not going, can't think about that, don't want to think about that, don't want to manifest it, because all you're doing then is holding on to this ball of light and then like putting that intensity around it.
And then you're shrugging your shoulders right up to your ears where your tense says.
So it's actually not too dissimilar to how you actually manifest and create is holding on. It's just holding on to those balls of light and either letting it go or going, hey, I'd love that. I'd love to bring that into my life, and still letting it go. But it's just the intention that you put behind it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think that's a really great tip. Thank you. I'm going to use that in my own life and get rid of these horrible thoughts that do pop up every now and then that we all have. We're only human, I suppose.
That's exactly right. And I really, that saying, what you resist persists. So you need to acknowledge all the negative things that happen in your life from other people's actions. You know, you have to acknowledge it always, because, and the feelings within yourself, most importantly, because literally what you don't heal will keep showing up in your life until you graduate that process or that situation.
Interesting. Now tell me, have you used journaling to manifest different things?
I think journaling for me, again, it gives me a sense of clarity. So if I'm ever really sitting down with the intention to manifest something, just say I need money. Money's a huge thing. And I need money for a holiday that's coming up, or my friends are going and I want to go to. I hadn't allowed for it, but this is last minute and I really want to go. So for me, it's going, I intend. It's setting your intentions and saying, I intend to have X amount by this date. It's really just being clear. That's all there is to it. It's really not, it's not this huge thing that everybody needs to learn. We all are doing it like literally 24/7. We are always manifesting. It does not stop. It's just whether we're manifesting good or we're manifesting bad. And it goes back to holding on to those balls, just letting them go, keep letting them flow. What's the word of that thing? I'm just still trying to think about it.
No, me too, actually.
What's it called?
Oh, conveyor belts.
Conveyor belt, that's the one. Thank God. Yeah, it's like a conveyor belt. So it's like you have to inspect every ball that goes past you. And some balls might be a little angrier or a little bit hotter than others. And then you just need to go, I'm acknowledging you, and now I'm going to send you on your way. Others are going to be clear and inspiring and blue and positive. You're going to pick it up and go, wow, I like you. I'll see you later, and still let it go. You know what I mean? So It's just getting clear. It's the same thing with journaling. It just, for me, it's like another element of just being completely clear about what I want. There's no confusion, because, you know, those balls can back up in your head if you aren't calm or if you're in a stressed time in your life. Journaling, especially if you're anxious, actually, journaling is a great way to actually get your thoughts and pour them onto the paper and either go, wow, I'm loving what I'm seeing there, or wow, I need to, you know, do something about my thoughts here. Like they're feeling a little bit negative, or they're feeling, a little bit sticky or stuck. Maybe I need to go and talk to someone. Maybe I need to go to yoga, whatever that is for you.
It's good for people who are starting out and need something tangible, I think, in terms of
That's right.
journaling. And also vision boards can be
Yeah.
quite useful.
Yeah, totally. It just depends how creative you are, I suppose, like whatever that is for you. But yeah, it doesn't need to be intense. Like you can just start with literally writing an intention for your day, and that's it. I intend for this day to be a beautiful day. I intend to, my intention for like the first 2 months, I think, when I started journaling was I intend to be a beacon of light and joy. And for every single interaction that I ever have today, that I leave that person feeling absolutely amazing.
Oh, and you do.
No. So, thank you. But yeah, that and that is my intention now every single day without me even having to write it, because it's just become a habit. So I've manifested that, but also I've created that,
It can be
myself.
quite powerful, and people have actually manifested relationships and love. And I've got friends out there who have done that so amazingly that it's blown my mind. And,
Totally.
Have you got examples of that? Have you heard of
Yes.
really succinct examples that you cannot ignore that are just absolutely, there's no doubt in your mind that that's been manifest?
Yeah, my fiance, 100%.
Oh,
I
really?
manifested him. Yeah, like it was, and what's crazy, talking about that sense of letting go, like we have this sense of wanting to control everything. And unfortunately, with our manifesting, you've got to let it go. You've got to surrender it. You've got to put it out there and go, all right, it's out there. Let's see what happens. It's like the game of life. It's all about perspective. But I remember when I had come home, I just moved home to Australia, and I'd never really had a boyfriend or any kind of relationship of substance. And I wasn't putting it out there to like meet my husband. I was just going, I really want a long-term relationship with a guy that just gets me, because no guy had ever really understood my background in performance, but also my complexity of everything, of how I see the world, I suppose. And I remember Maritza driving to Sydney thinking, all right, this is me. I'm starting my new life. I just moved back to Australia, was moving to Sydney to live, thinking, let's have a little bit of a play. Let's think about the most amazing possible man that could be out there for me. And I let my mind go wild. And then I had this sense, I genuinely can't explain it, but now I know it was like true surrender. And I love that feeling. I chase that feeling, that surrendering to the universe and just allowing things to happen. And I met my partner 2 days later, and boy, like 60% of what my brain could imagine that I could want in a partner, he was 60%, and then brought this other whole 40% of all these other extra things that I didn't even know that I needed.
Oh,
It was,
I've got this big smile on my face.
Yeah. Wild. Just wild. I actually couldn't believe it. And when I saw him, I knew that he was the person that I've met. I know that sounds freaky, but and I'm not crazy like that. Like I'm pretty practical. That's a huge thing for me. But when I met him and I looked into his eyes, I went, oh, yeah, wow, you're the person. Yeah, you're the person. Back then, I wouldn't have called it love at first sight, and even now I wouldn't call it love at first sight, because I knew that I loved him. It was soul connection, like soulmates.
It's all incredibly fascinating, and there's so much to learn. And I think just starting slowly, if you've never done it before, and
totally,
even just with the morning routine and then moving into the journaling, that's the best way to start, in my opinion, and just doing it just a little bit every day, and you see the changes that just come into your life instantly are incredible. But
if I had if you took one thing away from your listeners listening today, my one tip, if you were like, how the hell do I manifest? How do I do this? Just get clear on what you want, and doing that, writing that down is a great way to bring clarity into your life, what you want, and lead it with, I intend in divine timing. That is how I started every one of anything that I've ever manifested. I intend that in divine timing, da, 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 da. And it's just writing that simple sentence. That's it. And then if it's meant for you, it will come. But at least you're putting it out there, allowing those clogs to start turning for you.
And it's the defined timing too that's so important. We can't get impatient with things. You tend to have manifested things quite quickly because you met your partner 2 days later.
Yeah, I know, but who knows? The universe
bloody
has been
incredible.
Like, bloody hell, Lise, this is 4 years I've been trying to get this through to you. Let go, It was the let go part where it's so I can't explain it. I really felt my heart open, like I was running into the city with my arms like open by my side. It was that huge sense of letting go. So I would say write down in your journal or on a piece of paper, I intend in divine timing, whatever you wish to happen, put it somewhere where you can see it and keep it in the forefront of your mind and literally watch the magic unfold. It is wild.
Well, there you go. If you're listening to this, this is our test to you. Make sure you start doing this today. Start your little dream journal and manifest what you have deep inside of your heart.
That's right.
Now, you've recently co-founded a business called Well, which is a series of educational workshops for women and young girls in schools.
Oh my gosh, we are so excited to have launched this, myself and my business partner, Tanika Anderson. And when we met, oh my gosh, like soul sister connection. I've never had a friend like her before. I've never met someone like her. Very similar to, I did manifest her, I'm not even kidding. I asked the universe for so many years for her. And then it was the same kind of interaction that when I met Matt is when I met her. And we had honestly 20 hours into our friendship had started writing our business plan for this business. So there was no messing around sort of thing. So we knew that we had met and were destined to do this together. And essentially, I mean, our plan, our 10-year plan or our 5-year plan has bigger legs and longer legs that will grow, but we are essentially starting in schools for girls, workshops, educational workshops to teach young girls about the power of mindfulness and positivity and self-love.
Oh, how beautiful. And, you know, like you said earlier, they are our future. And
that's right.
As a mother of 2 girls, I think that is absolutely fantastic that you're doing that. And I'm going to get you down to their school as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's right. I'll touch base with the principal. But we're so excited because this is truly like such a passion for both of us, but not the, sitting down and I'm not dissing getting a whole bunch of inspirational speakers in. I do think that has an element of kind of going, we're kind of better than you. And it can have that negative effect of a listener leaving going and not feeling inspired and going, I feel inadequate. So, and that was a huge point that Tanika brought to the table when we started this. We really want to create the intention of a family and going, and a support network. You are supported. So they're half-day workshops, but it's in a practical sense, what it's like to give a compliment to each other. So it's not just sitting, they're very interactive. It's not just sitting and watching us speak. It is, learning to coexist in each other's company and how to be a kind person. So we're really excited.
Spreading kindness wherever you go. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so, so grateful to have had you on the show with me, and I have the feeling you may be a regular on this show.
I'm feeling good about that.
So make sure you tune into the Self podcast to start your mornings with Lisa and to follow all of her updates. You can head to her Instagram page at _Lisa Bryant. And to keep the discussion going with me and anyone that we've had on here, or perhaps be part of the next show and share your wellbeing story or life vision, please get in touch on Instagram at Maritza_Barone. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Maritza.
Be happy, be healthy, be grateful, be kind.